Welcome friends to another Lord of the Rings video. With what knowledge was Sauron able to forge the One Ring? How was it linked to the others? Let's get straight into it. During the First Age of Arda, or Middle-earth, Sauron had another name, Mairon. He used this name when he was with the Valar, the gods of the world, and he was closely associated with one of those gods who gave him skills he would later use to forge the One Ring. That god was Eulé the smith. Sauron also became knowledgeable in the lore of the gods. He was at the time a Maya, a primordial spirit that would help the gods shape the world. At this time, the being that would become Sauron was good, not corrupted. He loved order and perfection and disliked when things were wasted. He saw in Melkor a will and power that could help him with his own ambitions, a way to elevate himself faster than if he pursued things alone. Melkor is one of the gods who rebelled against the creator Eru and wanted to corrupt the world the creator had made. Though harmonious with some of what Melkor planned, they were not totally aligned in their ambitions. Melkor wanted to control or destroy, but Sauron wanted to dominate and control the minds of others for his benefit. He wants order but his own order, and you can see how this culminates in the ring, but for now, to grow his power, he became a follower. They both met defeat, though Sauron learned much, and after remaining dormant for 500 years, he emerged again, establishing a base of power in Mordor. He knew by now that humans could easily be swayed, but it was the elves he wanted in his service. To this end, he disguised himself as Anatar, dubbed the Lord of Gifts, and in this fair guise, he became friends with the elven smiths of Eregion because he needed their skills. Eregion was an elven kingdom near Moria. The relationship between dwarves and elves was friendly and courteous. Amongst these smiths was an elf called Celebrimbor, who was considered amongst the greatest of their craftsmen. Sauron shared knowledge of arts and magic with them all. A few elves, though, he felt foul amongst them. They detected him. They were Lady Galadriel, Elrond, and Gil-galad, king of the Noldor elves. Now, Celebrimbor was of the bloodline of Fëanor, who created the Silmarils, 3 bright jewels, a prized wonder amongst the elves, and Celebrimbor had inherited that same skill of crafting. Now, Sauron claimed to be an emissary for the gods, perhaps playing into his old role, and though suspicious, the elves worked with Sauron to make the rings, to learn the craft he taught, and Celebrimbor made the 3 elven rings of power. What Sauron did not share was that the rings he had made had a binding magic, a tether that would bind them to his will. Then in secret, Sauron forged the One Ring at Mount Doom, the Ring of Power, a master ring that would rule all the others and the people that wielded them. This would allow him control and make order over all of Middle-earth. He put into the ring a lot of his own fear, F-E-A, or soul. All those created by the gods have 2 parts, the soul and the body. The soul has no power without the body, and the body would die without the soul. And so, if the ring was destroyed, so would the power of Sauron be destroyed, the ring playing the part of the soul that if destroyed would kill the body. When that ring was finally placed on his finger, the elves knew who he was and what he meant to do. So the elves from Eregion and Celebrimbor held the rings back from Sauron. With no touch from him, they were not corrupted, but they were still linked to the Master Ring, and Celebrimbor sent them away for safety. Vilya and Narya went to Gil-galad in Lindon, and Nenya went to Galadriel in Lorien. And for the dwarves, the greatest of those dwarven 7 rings were sent to Durin III, a nearby elven ally in Khazad-dûm. So Sauron raised an army to take the rings, and at the start he took Eregion and 9 rings for men, and also the maker of the Elven Rings, Celebrimbor. The elf was tortured and gave up the lesser rings, but he refused to give up the Elven Rings and died from his torment. After Eregion had been destroyed, Sauron pushed on and swiftly conquered the western part of Middle-earth. As the elves neared defeat, allies from Númenor arrived, and together with the High Elven King Gil-galad, they destroyed his army and he retreated to Mordor. Sauron, with the rings he had, gave 9 to great lords and warriors of men. This included 3 Númenorians, men blessed by the gods, and 1 Easterling king. And over time, they became the ring wraiths, and 7 rings, including the one Celebrimbor gave into safekeeping and Sauron had since retrieved, were given to the dwarves. But the Elven Rings he never reached, thanks to the sacrifice of Celebrimbor. Now friends, I turn this over to you. What do you think to how the rings were forged? Have I missed any points you feel are key? Have you fallen into darkness? Comment down below.